Hello and welcome to Stay Stitching. My name is Carla. I'm sharing with you today a new journal that is going into my Etsy shop. Now this one is a little bit bigger. You can see I have your standard traveler's notebook size here. This one is a wanderings journal, which I know it's just a hair wider than a Midori. This is a Midori. And so I feel like if you carry a Midori, this journal is not going to fit in. If you carry any other styles of traveler's notebooks that are slightly wider than the Midori, you might be able to fit this in. I would carry this like this, but I just wanted you to be aware of that it doesn't fit in there perfectly like your standard notebooks do. Okay, but let me show you, because they don't all have to fit right into a traveler's notebook in order to be useful. You can use this journal without a traveler's notebook and enjoy it immensely. So this is definitely a springtime journal. It does not have a closure on it that is fixed. I just tied this pretty little pale yellow ribbon on there to keep it closed. The cover has some glitter. It has fabric, a beautiful little bunny image from Crafty Secrets. This little cupcake with the doll wearing bunny ears on it is from an Etsy shop. This guy has the machine that cuts all these wood veneers out, and he does an incredible job. I've ordered a lot from him over the years. This is a little die-cut butterfly and die-cut doily. The back of the journal has more of that, the fabric wraps around. Here's a hand-stamped tag and some tea-dyed paper, little banner. So let's get in here and have a look at this journal. So it opens up to a very nice sized pocket with two journaling cards in there. And this first page is tea-dyed and stenciled. Lots of machine sewing in here. Here's a tuck spot with some journaling paper. That's very smooth journaling paper. Springs of Joy. This is the name of a little book I have that is full of poetry and other things from Augustine, Shakespeare, Goethe, Mozart, and Newman. This book also has pages from a book called Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. Rachel Carson was instrumental in helping get rid of the use of DDT. She was one of the first true environmentalists and devoted her life to making sure that we didn't use some of the dangerous pesticides and things that we had been using up to that time. This is a hand-stamped and embossed bunny image. Over here I have this little tag stuck into this pocket. It's an adorable little tag. This is a Crafty Secrets image. Crafty Secrets is no longer in business, but I pretty much bought everything they made while they were in business, so I still have some of these cards left. I include one of these pages in every one of my journals. These are pulled from a little book that I bought my mother in 1995, and it's kind of my signature to include one of these in every one of my journals as kind of a way to honor my mother and all mothers in general. If you don't want this in here, it can be pulled and you can throw it away if that's what you would like to do. This is a vintage perfume advertisement, and I've sewn it onto some tea-dyed paper. You can see this beautiful tea-dyed paper here. There's a doily. This is vintage crepe paper, and I've sewn it on here. This is tea-dyed paper, a little tuck spot if you like. Here's a page from Peter Rabbit. This is a little board book that I took this off of. My first son, who just turned 27 on the 17th, I decorated his journal in his nursery in Peter Rabbit, and it was just such beautiful classic art, and I still love it, and hope that someday I'll be able to read these to grandkids. Here's another little tuck pocket, and a place to write, a little chick. This is beautiful kind of onion skinny paper that I stenciled with glimmer mist. So I don't know whether the camera is picking it up or not, but all of this color here is also shimmery. So it's really lovely. Here's a flip down daffodils, one of my very favorite flowers. I really admire their tenacity. I love the way that they spread and take over a place and add beauty wherever they are. And I love that they come in so many varieties. Just a writing spot. Here's a little flip open pocket. I've got a little booklet here. This is vintage wallpaper, so it's really sturdy. And then a little book for taking tiny notes. That flips right in here, like so. You can add whatever else you need to these pockets. Pictures from your seed catalogs or receipts. Lots of places to keep receipts. I don't know about you, but generally by the end of the summer, we have pretty much kept Home Depot and the other gardening places in business by all that we've spent trying to keep our yard looking nice. This is just a place to write and some beautiful patterned paper. This is basic gray paper. This is a glassine bag, and inside I've done a little trifold that opens up, and there's Winnie the Pooh under there. Christopher Robin is putting Eeyore's tail back on. And I've added some washi tape, and I've added several pages for journaling. And then on the back, several more pages for journaling. I'll put that back together later. Beautiful little bunny. Tuck spot here. Hand stamping, that's a Crafty Secrets stamp. And here's the cover of that delightful little board book. And it is making a pocket. There's beautiful vintage image of some bunnies. Lots of bunnies in this journal. I do love bunnies. And then Flopsy Mopsy and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. Sometimes there's good little bunnies, and sometimes there's Peter Rabbit, right? There's a flip out. I sewed some vintage trim on there. More of this parchment-y tea-dyed paper. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. Oh yes, he did. First, he ate some lettuce and beans and radishes, and then he went to look for some parsley. I think things went wrong for Peter shortly thereafter. This beautiful patterned paper. You can glue anything you want on there. You can write on there. I tea-dyed it so the back is also a beautiful color. This is music paper. I stamped on it here. It's not tea-dyed. It's probably close to 100 years old, and it's beautiful all on its own. It doesn't need any tea dyeing. This is The signature, the inside, I left this long. I tied knots. This can be completely cut off if you don't like this. This is an image from Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, and it's just gorgeous. And so I wanted to put that in the center where the whole thing would show, because, you know, when you bind a book, you're only going to ever see half of the pages except for in the center. So that's why I included this beautiful image right there in the center. It's the other side of that. Music paper, more tea-dyed paper. And then this is the first page of that book. They're in here out of order. I wasn't trying to keep them in order. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother under the root of a very big fir tree. I can't even tell you how many times I have read this book to my 3 sons. A lot of times. But whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? That's later in the book, of course. More of that tea-dyed parchment-y paper. I really like the way this took the tea dye. It's so much fun to tea dye because you never know what's going to happen with it. I hope that I never get, you know, so good at it that suddenly all my paper becomes uniform, because I don't want it to be uniform. I want it to be different every time, because that's part of the fun of doing it. More of that gorgeous patterned paper with some vintage trim. More Peter Rabbit. This is a pretty picture from a book that I have that came with, I bought it at Goodwill, and it came with a cassette tape. So you could sit down and flip through the pages and listen to the story. And I just liked that mama bear and her baby bears. That's very springtime. I tried to choose springtime images for this journal. Here's the other side of that glassine bag. I have cut the bottom off so that it is actually a pocket. Wish I could see you when you blossom. Just another pretty little Crafty Secrets image with the tulip bear and a couple of ducklings and a darling little kid. Little toddler there. These are just typewriter stickers that I have that I like to add because they're cool. This is vintage rickrack that I sewed on here. More of that patterned paper. A tuck spot. This is from Silent Spring. More Peter Rabbit. Uh-oh. He's caught in the gooseberry net. I don't know. Things aren't looking good for him. This is the other side of that beautifully flimsy and crinkly paper. More Silent Spring. I love this little beetle stamp. This is a Crafty Secret stamp with the lilies of the valley. I added both of those on there. Another bunny. This stamp is by Creative Play Stamps. I'm not sure they're still making stamps. They used to have a really nice online stamp store. Here's another flip. More of that vintage crepe paper. I buy vintage crepe paper at garage sales, antique stores, thrift stores, whenever I find it. Doily, more tea-dyed paper. This one's Silent Spring. This is a handmade envelope that is on here. This is hand-stamped, heat embossed, so it's shiny and raised, and die cut, that butterfly. This is a little handmade envelope, and in here is there's a little metal bunny in there. This is sewn closed, and some sequins just for pretty tucked in there. This is a page from Silent Spring. Vintage paperclip. All my paper clips are vintage. And then the back has a little tuck spot and just this pretty decoration, vintage dictionary paper. And then here is the back of the book. So this book will be available in my Etsy shop sometime today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for stopping by, and you have a fantastic day.